Hey traders, Marcello here, founder of the Day Trading Academy. Today we're in Monterrey, Mexico, near the border of the United States. If you guys don't know where that is, and we're going to be answering all of the questions that you guys have for me today. We're doing an event. We have a solid probably 100 people. We have a group of our traders here, except for Kat, she doesn't trade. And so first question, well, don't forget guys, don't forget to put your questions with hashtag AskMarcello on the comments here on YouTube or Instagram, wherever you guys want to leave the comments, and I'll be happy to go ahead and pull those questions. And obviously don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube. So first question I have from KB.
Quais são as principais fontes de mídia que você usa para obter notícias econômicas ou estatísticas para ajudá-lo no day trade?
So KB, thank you first of all for the question. I'm still a little bit under the weather, so you guys will have to apologize for that. So one of the things that you have to understand, KB, is that there's a very fundamental difference between trading in a fundamental aspect and a technical aspect. So those are the two different kinds of approaches to trading or investing, okay? Most classic investors do more fundamental analysis, which is more in reference to the question that you're asking me. So looking at news, paying attention to Bloomberg, which is absolutely unnecessary, you know, reading reports, finding out what person is managing what company, you know, looking at all the fine details, the red tape, you know, the small writing on all the reports, all that stuff that you're literally asking me about is fundamental analysis. So what does that mean? It means that it takes a lot more time to be able to understand the information rather than trading in a different way to be able to learn a lot quicker. It's very hard for people to find out that something in Japan affected this company in China, and because it affected this company in China, it's going to affect the entire index in the United States. Very difficult for people to kind of put those dots together, one, without a lot of experience, and two, just learning about the market in general. Okay, so to literally answer your question about economic news, we don't pay attention at all to any news. So it doesn't matter why the market moves a certain way, it only matters how strong it does. For example, it doesn't matter that the market's been going up for 10 years, right? I don't care why, I just want to know, or I want to see it on the chart that it's actually going up. And by seeing it on the chart, we're going to be able to adapt our mindset or our bias or our expectation based on what the chart is showing us. Not necessarily having a bias because somebody in Bloomberg, look at Bloomberg and CNBC's track record about the information that they actually give. It's not very good. Even Goldman Sachs. In my personal opinion, the majority of these companies, the majority of the news outlets, they aren't in our best interest. At the end of the day, what they're doing is looking out for their own best interests, which is basically having more viewership and making more money. They don't really care if they're right or wrong. So that's why I don't pay attention to them at all. So with technical analysis, that has to do with reading zero reports, paying attention to zero news, zero TV shows, absolutely nothing. The only thing you pay attention to when it comes to news items is learning how to identify what's a high impact item and what's a medium impact item. The way that we do that is by looking at a site called Forex Factory. Obviously from there, I don't want to give you kind of a golden rule to use depending on what market you're trading, because it depends a lot whether you're trading Forex or futures or stocks, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, we use that site forexfactory.com. We do a quick filter for, you know, the country that we're trading in or the market that we're trading in, and then from there we're able to decipher which one is high impact, which one is medium impact. One of the things that I've actually have seen over the last, I want to say, close to a year, almost year and a half now, is the majority of the news items that are supposed to be quote-unquote high impact aren't actually high impact. Literally, the news isn't affecting the market as much as it was before. Even very, very important news like FOMC statement or the crude oil inventories, which in 2011 was something that absolutely made the market explode. So, excuse me. So that's essentially what we do and how we do it in terms of news. Now, KB, you had another question in regards to the if we trade every day in regards to the weekends. So the Forex market is open literally about 24 hours a day, almost, I would say, except probably Saturday. The most stocks are open from 9:30 a.m. Eastern time in the US, or about 9 o'clock, 9:30 in Europe. The opening time for stocks is always the same time, and then the stock market, where the exchanges for stocks normally trade, close at 4 p.m. Cryptocurrencies, I think, are open probably 24 hours a day. Obviously, depending on what market you're in, because those are completely unregulated markets. The futures market is open 23 hours, 15 minutes a day. So it opens on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, around 6, and then it's open all the way until Monday, until about 5:15 or 5:45, right around that time. Now, just because the market is open in those times doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best time to actually trade them. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to explain this to you, KB, but anything like options or futures are a derivative of another financial instrument like stocks or even indices. Indices are essentially a group of stocks put together. So the most movement you're going to see, because it's a product that's derived from this, from an index or a stock, is when the market opens. Because remember that the stock market actually opens at 9:30. So in the futures market for us, we generally look to trade in the morning sessions. I do have some traders who like to trade all day. I have traders who have variations of strategies, which are, I would call it an intraday swing strategy, where they still close the positions at the end of the day, but they hold for a lot longer term than most of the traders that we teach. Obviously, one thing I want to throw in there as well is we're not trading advisors, so we're not able to tell you literally, hey, enter here. There's a mosquito right over here. Get in here, get out there. Otherwise, we would be a hedge fund. So what we actually teach people how to do is how to understand how to read the market, and then help you to create a plan according to the strategy that we use. That's why we have so many traders that actually use different strategies, with kind of the strategy as the base for what we use, or the way that we look at the market. So what I'm trying to explain to you when it comes to that is, you can trade every day if you want, outside of, I would say, Saturday or Sunday. I think the majority of activity, even when it comes to cryptocurrencies, is going to come to the normal market hours, right? Which is, Monday to Friday kind of thing. So we, or the majority of the traders that we have, generally trade within an hour or two of day. On the Latin American side, or Spanish and Portuguese traders, they trade 20 to 30 minutes a day on average. The guys in the US or the English side trade a little bit longer than that. But me personally, if you were asking me, I'm trying to cover all your questions kind of all at once, KB. I personally have moved into more swing trading, been focusing on the silver and gold miners, and I've also been putting in longer term positions to hold for a pretty big move that I'm anticipating in gold and silver. So it's a little bit less work. I can kind of put my hands off and kind of let those positions work themselves, and then at the same time I can look to get all the projects going that I have in Colombia. So whether you want to trade intraday or swing or longer term, I think the best thing to start off with is intraday, because it allows you to practice more, and it allows you to kind of see more market activity. And then after that, you can kind of move into things like swing trading or position trading, which for me are trades that take months or trades that take years. So I think those are all of your questions. Going back to your question about the media sources, KB, the only news that I actually read is a site called Zero Hedge. It's a site that I think tells mostly the truth, because they don't really care what people think of them. Google even blocked them now because it goes against what Google think is what you're supposed to read. So I don't pay attention to any mainstream media, because I don't think they are out to show us or tell us the best information, so to speak. And to me, Zero Hedge is a site that kind of breaks through all the nonsense, so to speak, and kind of tells it just like it is with a little bit of sarcasm, which is quite funny. So those are kind of hopefully the best responses to the answers that I can give you, KB. Again, if you guys have any questions, don't forget to mark them with the hashtag AskMarcello, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and answer all the questions for you.
Eso es pronto.